First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing fowls.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got
something.
Calm down. I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Tomorrow, Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Guyanese critic.
erratic
Mikhail
detective, is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slapping Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, Gildarie, you deal with that. You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Gildarie, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. This evening it's calling. We go to 10. You will see the numbers. Leonard Gildarie's number, smartphone number, and the landline number. When we planned this program, Leonard Gildarie and I, we had two things in mind. We wanted to use this platform, this space, to discuss, confront, and expose narratives that we think are disturbing, misleading, and dangerous. And therefore we want to speak to these narratives with the intention of confronting them. And we have done that the past 10 months, and we will do this tonight. We will do the confrontation of these narratives that are dangerous to Guyana this evening. The second thing we wanted to do on this program, and we think we have successfully done it, is to give coverage to people that is commonly called around the world unsung heroes. People who quietly go about their business. They know big names. You don't see their names in the media, whether it's electronic, mainstream newspaper, social media, but they are there doing work that is admirable or doing work that has value. And we have given space to those kinds of people. For example, for 1 hour we had the sculptor Desmond Ali, and we brought to Guyanese, wherever they are, that this man has a piece of sculpture in the United Nations foyer. Terry Gajraj is in the news recently about him not being given his due reward as a fantastic cultural contributor to the Guyanese cultural landscape. Well, if you go on this on, if you go on YouTube and you punch in the Gildarie, Freddie Kissoon, you type in those words and Clash of the Titans or Kellerwan, you will see about a month ago we give coverage to Terry Gajraj, and Leonard Gildarie, my co-host, and I were profuse in our appreciation for the work that he's been doing over the decades. Now, Mr. Gajraj is in the news in which he's saying that his contribution is not being adequately recognized. Well, we did recognize it about 5 weeks ago. Just go on YouTube and punch in the Freddie Kissoon Gildarie show, Clash of the Titans, or Kellerwan, just type in those names, and you'll see the 1 hour interview with Mr. Gajraj. Also in the news is another cultural icon, Mahadio Shivraj, one of Guyana's leading filmmakers. He's also complaining that his work is not being recognized, and it's due. His recognition, his contribution is due. Well, please go on YouTube to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show, punch in, type in Mahadio Shivraj, and you'll see we gave 1 hour coverage to him, and we featured the films that he has made and he will be making. So that was the second dream we had of giving people coverage that Guyanese people don't know about and should know about. Next week, we're going to continue in that vein. Some of our guests are doing good work for this country, but you don't see their names plastered around the landscape of Guyana. Leonard Gildarie is my co-host as usual. Our program this night is that you call in, and we're looking at the critics of the oil industry, in which people are saying the fossil fuel industry is bad for climate. Guyana must come out of it, must stop it. That's a very evil pronouncement, and I am going to deal with it in the context of what is going on in the world with the fossil fuel industry and what the fossil fuel industry has done for very, very fantastically rich countries. But I've said enough, and I will come back to our position of looking at the critics of the oil industry. But having said enough, let me take you over to Leonard Gildarie. He normally has this habit or style of, before we get into the program, of reflecting on some things that he thinks you need to know about. So over to Guyana's journalist. I didn't say famous or everlasting. He doesn't like those terms. Over to the well-known journalist, Leonard Gildarie.
I might want to say retired, but I'm still in the media. Freddie Kissoon, ladies and gentlemen out there, I want to say good night to you once again. It's always a pleasure. I miss you guys so much over the last weekend. You know, there was a long holiday weekend, and so when these things happen, it kind of disrupts the flow. But we continue. The work never stops for the people of Guyana, Freddie. You know, strange enough, I listened to you, what you were going to say. That was exactly the issue that I was going to raise tonight. With regards to Terry Gajraj and Mahadio Shivraj and the issue of unsung heroes. Freddie, it is not only with our artists, people who have very quietly been doing the work over the years. We have got to find the kind of formula, the kind of situation, the mechanisms that the governments, but not also the government, the different organizations. I happen to know the Private Sector Commission, the Georgetown Chamber, and so many other organizations ever so often give recognition to the members and the people who would have done extremely well in carrying out their functions and whatever it is that they do. They do that. I know that the Private Sector Commission does that very often, and the GCCI, so many others. But there are a lot of people down on the grassroots levels. And we're talking about Desmond Ali, the artist. We're talking about the lady who would have been a newspaper vendor for a long time with the Freddie Kissoon, and maybe the cocoa attendant who's been there 40 years. These are the people who have also been doing a lot of work. Back to the issue of Terry Gajraj, this thing is really, really hurt me, because we look around the world at the Academy Awards, at the Oscars, at the other shows that they would have in the United States and Canada Film Festival and so on. And people get the recognition there. And when I saw Terry Gildarie being honored in Trinidad, I saw some people came out and says, well, his songs weren't original, a few of them. And I wondered if they were alive during the 90s or the late 80s when Terry Gildarie burst out on the scene. But it's not only with Terry Gildarie, really. We don't want to miss the point here. It has to be with so many other things as we move forward in the country, as a country which would want to pride itself as being a developed country or a developing country which wants to move into prosperity mode. We have got to have those kind of mechanisms, and not only that, the rule of law. Things when it comes to public officials being given or being made to do their jobs and not believe that they're above the law. And I'm talking not only from the government side, but also on the opposition side, Freddie. So we have got to start looking at these things seriously. It's not a side issue. It's not a issue that is in the backyard. It's right with us in the face. These are people who have done tremendously well, pushed their hands in the pocket, and they entertain the people. They made people happy. And so we've got to give them the recognition, and also so many countless others unsung heroes. So Freddie Kissoon, the night belongs to the people of Guyana and those thousands who have been looking at us from across the region and the rest of the world. And tonight, as usual, we're going to open the lines to them. Let us hear from you. Let us make those calls short and sweet. Let us talk about it. This is a platform also, Freddie, in which we can solve every issue. We're not here to do that, but to highlight them.
What do you say?
To highlight those issues that which are of major concern to us. So I would stop here. The numbers are 231-2982, 231-2982, and the number of the WhatsApp is on our screen also. You could call us if you have a cell phone locally, and I see the first one is on right now. Let's go right there. Good evening, caller.
Oh, just so.
Hi, good evening. All right, I'm so happy that you guys touched on these on this thing about the
non-traditional unsung heroes.
Right, the non not paying attention to our artists or whatever the word is, because I can remember I called in on the program years ago, but Habib Khan never being recognized. Am I there?
Yeah. We're listening to you.
Yeah, Habib Khan was his expertise was never exploited in a positive way. I called in a few weeks ago and spoke about Mahadev Shivraj not being recognized, and then subsequently I see Therese wrote something, a damning thing that he's not, being recognized. And Freddie and Leonard, this is so sad. I cry every day for this, or my heart bleeds every day for knowing that Guyanese, and regardless of which government is in power, they don't find the time to recognize our artists and our well, if I can use the word professional artists. I saw Mahadev wrote an article, and I actually spoke to him about it, and he was like, I don't want to call my name, but I actually eventually encouraged him to do it. You know what's sad though? Mahadev Shivraj, Terry Gildarie, Habib Khan, they have not been recognized. But soon as the girl from Black Panther came to Guyana, she was given all the accolades. Right? This thing hurts me a lot. Now, I understand she is Guyanese, or she might be of Guyanese origin, right? But look at the difference there, right?
I think all of them.
She was being paraded. She was being paraded by the education minister and so many other minister and a whole bunch of. Listen, I am sick. I am tired. I am not going to stand for this. I am going to talk about it all the time now.
I appreciate that very much.
Okay. The topic this evening. Thanks for coming in, sir. The topic this evening is we'd like your take on the oil or the critics of the oil industry in Guyana. So if you could hold your calls, let me read something to you, because when the minister was here on the last program, we raised this issue of people saying Guyana, a small poor country that had discovered something financially fantastic to help Guyana. People are saying, my imagination cannot accommodate it. That there are people that would say, let us stop the oil industry. It's not good for the climate. Now, let me read for you some of the people who are saying this, and I will just give you their names and what they're doing. I don't want to get any libel. I wrote this article on them. I wrote this article on these people on November the 22nd. Now, here is the list of people who wrote a letter in the Starbuck News of November 13, 2022, calling for the immediate cessation of oil exploration in Guyana because the fossil fuel industry is harmful to the climate. I will read a part of the article here. Presidential Advisor on Security Jerry Gavaya on the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show said that the word asinine is too mild to address the demands of these signatures. In fact, as I write this column, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is about to issue license for further oil drilling in the North Sea. So here are the names of these people who wrote a letter in the Starbuck asking for the immediate cessation. We must finish with oil exploration in Guyana. Now, I'm not going to comment on them, but this is disturbing revelations. Dr. Janet Bulkan, she works at the University of British Columbia in Canada. Dr. Alicia Trotz works at the University of Toronto, that's in Canada. Canada will be building a pipeline from Alberta to Nebraska that is 1,173 miles long, that will pour oil from Canada to Nebraska, 800,000 barrels of oil a day. Dr. Trotz lives in Canada. Dr. Nigel Westmus works at Hamilton College in New York. President Joseph Biden has just signed off of oil exploration in Alaska. That's the country Nigel Westmus lives in. Dr. Maya Trotz works at the University of Florida. These are the people that want oil exploration to stop in Guyana. Please listen where they live and who they serve. Isabella de Caries, she's the co-owner with Mr. Anand Prasad of the Starbuck News. She is a UK citizen. Her son plays cricket in the UK English County Championship for Middlesex. The great West Indian batsman Shivnarine Chanderpaul, one of the greatest batsmen from the third world countries playing cricket. His son, Tej Narain, plays cricket for the West Indies and plays cricket for Guyana, where he lives. Abyssinian Karto, a Rastafarian that left Guyana many moons ago and lives in New York. Dr. Gary Gildarie, who worked at UG, left UG and is now living decades now in Guyana. Terry Rupnarine, son of Dr. Rupnarine of the WPA, has lived outside, wasn't born in Guyana and lived outside Guyana all his life. Pauline Melville left Guyana when she was a child and has never returned to Guyana. Alma O'Connell lives in Canada. Christine Samaru lives in New York. Luke Daniels lives in the UK. Excuse me, those are the names of the people who signed a letter stating that Guyana must get out of the oil industry. It's harmful to the climate. Here is what the Chinese said to the Americans when the American was saying we have to stop industrialization. It's affecting climate. It's affecting the ozone layer. The Chinese said, but you built your society on that. You became rich with that. Now you are postmodern, have all the luxuries, all the amenities, and you're telling us to stop? Well, we would stop when we reach your stage. With that, you can call in.
Just before we take more calls, back to that caller who called about Terry Gatraj and Mahathir Shivraj. Freddie, I did read that I think it was Terry Gatraj posted that the president called, or the president had a conversation with him, and the president says, if you have an issue or you have any problems, call me directly. Now, I think that is very commendable because an issue was raised. Instead of saying, who the hell is Terry Gatraj? Who the hell is Mahathir Shivraj? A conversation took place at the highest level of this country, and that's the kind of thing when issues are being raised, not only in recognition of our people, Freddie, but when it comes to issues of national interest of this country. And I thought that was very commendable. Terry did post it up that he says he had a conversation and he believes that the president understands, but he made it very clear to the president also. I'm not looking for an award. I just want to make my matters known to the people out there. So let's go back to the people's call. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening. I see you guys is on the topic on the oil sector, right?
Yo.
I would like to you guys to address this. Me as an ordinary Guyanese citizen, all Region 6 and carpentry, how does the oil sector benefit me? For me, I haven't seen any beneficiary on my behalf. Since the oil have been seeing the cost of blinging, it's been getting higher and higher, and I've not been benefiting from anything. Can you guys address that for me? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Freddie, you want to start or you want me to start?
Well, I really don't understand.
No, he is saying as a small man, he's a carpenter, I think it is, he said, and he's saying he's not seeing the benefits of the oil thing. All right, I'm going to...
Well, if he hasn't seen the benefits, it doesn't mean there haven't been benefits. There have been tremendous construction going on here with employment. There have been tremendous investments. There have been cash grant to school children. There have been a good budget that was recently passed. Now, I can understand the guy saying, personally, I haven't seen it as a carpenter.
No, that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying.
Okay, if he hasn't seen it as a carpenter, I hope something is done for him and he can see the benefits. But that is very different from saying the oil industry have not brought benefits to the economy and to diverse sections of the Guyanese population. I sympathize with him if he say, my country is a big oil producer and I haven't seen any benefits. Well, I could say personally for me, I have not directly benefit from the oil company. I mean, given the life I live, I worked at Culture News for the same salary 15 years. As you know, I'm no longer with Culture News. I try to make ends meet, but I think I cannot say I have not benefited from the oil industry. Therefore,
I think so. Let me put this in perspective, and it's a very interesting or a point that will be debated. This issue was raised at several levels, and I saw both the vice president and the president, Irfan Ali, addressing this. And in essence, what they said, because I paid very close attention, I hear this complaint all the time. So me ain't getting nothing from this oil. So this is what the government is saying. Number one, and Rishi Sunak, I think the Indian...
the British Prime Minister.
The British Prime Minister. He was asked why he didn't put money in this particular program. And this is the way he answered it. And I think this is the way that the government answered it. He says, when you have a limited pie or a very small pie and you have to put it in so many places, how do you do it? And how do you get it to actually filter down to the small man? Coming back to the Guyana context, this question was raised, and I raised this issue too at a different forum. And the government says that, look, we put it in several ways to the people. I think there was a COVID, the cash grants was one. There was the education cash grants to the children. We had the minister in there a couple of nights back here, and he says that we have not raised electricity rates, although that has been happening all over the world when the electricity rates. We cushion that, we give a subsidy to GPL. So there's several things that's happening. We can't discount the fact also that there are many, and I'm not an economist, but there are many infrastructure work that's happening around the place at a very rapid pace. Now, you might not see it within the 5 years, but how do you take the money? I think the dilemma that the government faces, do you take the money and put it in the hands of Freddie Kissoon and Gildarie and everybody who's suffering? Do you take a little and give it to them? Do you build the infrastructure? Do you build a new harbor bridge? Do you put the money in a power plant which is going to be powered by gas and oil?
Okay, but I wasn't enthralled with the amount of money increase for public assistance from 14 to 16.
That was something.
I have a positive attitude toward the budget. The budget will result in 12 new hospitals being built. One of the absurdities I find in politics the past 40 years was Professor Clive Thomas saying that we must give 5,000 American dollars every year to a large section of the population. That for me is so nonsensical, because when you total up, it's almost more than $1 billion US. You know what that could do for the Georgetown Hospital? You know the machines to save people's life. All of these people that criticize and there's no governance or no accountability, you know where they go? You know, they go outside, all of them. Glendale and his nonsense and his asininities was sick a few months ago. He found himself outside. That is where you use all money. When Minister Indar was here, I said to him, and then Gildarie, I think you came back from the US a few months ago, you traveled. You look at some rundown schools in the US. When you look at their libraries, you look at the gymnasium, we don't have that thing here. That is where you put all money. You put it to build schools so each child can have a computer. You don't give the population 5,000 US every year.
But we'd have to come back to that because Freddie Kissoon is such a big thing. Good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
Recently the president was invited by the Seventh-day Adventist Church as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards I saw Mr. Rickford Burke made a comment on Facebook, and he was upset that the president was invited to this gathering. And he was saying that Afro-Guyanese were being discriminated against by this government. But what I want to know, I think the Seventh-day Adventist Church need to make a comment, because how can Mr. Rickford Burke be criticizing them for inviting the president and then saying that, make it all into a racist thing, that only Afro-Guyanese are being discriminated? Is the message of Rickford Burke, is this agreed upon or accepted by the Seventh-day Adventist Church? They should make a comment.
No, sir, if I may cut you. The Seventh-day Adventist Church invited the president. The church did what it had to do. The president did what it had to do. It is below the dignity of a national church to go commenting on what Rickford Burke say, to dignify the depravities. Nobody is speaking. Nobody is how do I say it? Nobody is commenting about what he said. If people are accepting, there are certain sections of society that are accepting. No, but if people are, you could always find that, sir. You will find all kinds of people in this world. Rickford Burke said what he has to say. he has his people who follow his nonsense, but I don't think it's proper for the church to respond to Wickford Burke. No, man, that the church.
There's a flip.
He's also campaigning for one of the members of the church to become the next president of the church.
But that's a different matter. But I don't think you could ask the Seventh-day Adventists. Next thing you know, they got to reply to every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
If I was a PR for the government, and so there's two aspects here. If I was the PR consultant for the government, I would say shut them out, don't say anything. You just don't dignify something like Freddie says. You give people like that credence. The second thing is that I want to say to you is that I agree with Freddie Kissoon. The church is not bound, they're not obligated to say anything. Again, it comes back to the point of credence. Every time Dick and Harry jump up and say something about you, it's going to be impossible for you to be commenting or to be wasting the energy.
But they're giving Burke credibility in Guyana that he doesn't have. These people, one of the things that, like when I read this thing, one of the things you have to understand, a lot of these people, quite a number of them, that say these things, nobody know them, they have no credibility. It's like what the minister asked last Wednesday. Where is the consistency? For example, Takuma Ogunse, I'm not going to talk about the court case. Takuma Ogunse went to Buxton.
Okay, I get your. Can I make one last comment before I go? I
Sure.
get your point, Mr. Z.
Go right ahead.
The other thing I want to say is that Mr. Rickford Burke, he speaks on behalf of the APNU, whether we like it or not. And they have him as, they will attend his program and they associate with him. And he only speaks about Afro-Guyanese. Is it only that is the only constituency that the APNU and Rickford Burke represents Afro-Guyanese? They don't represent the other races of this country? That's my final comment.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Answer that question.
Anyway, I don't want to dignify.
It's a difficult.
The fact that he brought up Burke and we discussing Burke, it gives Burke some space in Guyana that he doesn't have. Anyway.
You can find that. Let's take another call. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir. I would like you all to get on to Mahindra Rem Kalawan to the Titan board. You fall and kill somebody at Palmyra Road.
Okay, is that falling under the NDC or the RDC there? You don't know?
Listen to me. I call the NDC, RDC, and nobody paying attention. You kill somebody, you fall, don't fall and put them back already.
All right, there's a very good RE. Hold on. There's a very good REO there, Mr. Lorenzo Singh, I think it is.
Listen to me.
Did he do that?
I don't talk to the chairman and then play hard and think you kill somebody. Mahindra don't keep it showing gun.
All right. I will raise that with him. I'm going to try to get in contact. But
he fall one time and then come back and put it up and you fall again.
But let me ask.
That is not the responsibility of the Kalawan. That has to be the.
He keep the show because the money.
It's a good question. I don't know that Freddie. The man has a point here.
Freddie can be himself now. He'll be able to illiterate now.
No. Hello.
No, listen.
Don't get on the road.
Why? There's a company, and there are people that have been paid to put up that board. You got your facts wrong. You got your facts wrong. When people want to show, they pay companies to do their PR work. Maybe there's a company that's responsible for that board.
Good evening, caller.
Hey guys, good night, Larry. Same caller that called concerning the carpenter from Wickensing. I just want to specify, I did not mean that we're not having development. There's massive development in Guyana and the whole because of the oil sector.
No, but we try to answer it as much. I understand that. We try to answer it. It's a very wide.
Okay, I have one point I would like to make, sir. Coming back, we're very close to a local government election, right? The general election that passed, the world see these people how they try to steal an election and steal a country at large, right? There's so many evidence out there, yet nobody has been convicted. 3 years and nobody has been. What confidence this government is? We know that sort of people is not in there anymore, right? But what confidence do the supporters that support the PPP have to go back to the poll again, saying nobody has been convicted?
Well, so let me answer that right away there. I would hate to think that this government is going to tell me that they have controls over the court. The court is independent. You could have the matters investigated and go before the court. So the court has to be.
No, but the Attorney General did say he is concerned about the delay in the trial.
Yes, it is.
But there's nothing the Attorney General can do with that.
Difficult, but it's a very good point that you've raised there. But I would hate.
Going back to poll in a month's time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know the government doesn't have control over the courts, but they can ask for a speed. What is it to control when the evidence is so clear?
No. Whether the evidence, that's a different matter, sir. Whether the evidence is so clear, the government cannot tell the court when to bring up the case. And the Attorney General said that he's concerned. I mean...
Yes. All right. Thank you very much for coming in, Carla. And I think I take your point.
Okay. In case you just join us, we're asking you to call in 231-2982. I'm looking at the screen. Gildarie's number is 637-1071. And the topic is, how do you feel about people who criticize the oil industry and don't want the oil industry in Guyana?
Good evening, Carla. Hello. All right, if you're not ready yet, when you guys calling, just be ready. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
With regards to your topic tonight, I have two observations. First, about the gentleman who called earlier, not getting his share of the oil money. You guys rightfully told him about infrastructure, education, and health. What I would like to add to that is that this government hasn't raised any taxes since they've been in power. And two, with those ladies, those people live out in Canada and are complaining about stop the drilling, they should realize that OPEC has reduced their production by some million odd barrels of oil per month or per day. So that would mean sooner or later oil prices would go up.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know their response to that. And on a lighter note, Freddie, there's a gentleman coming to Guyana in about 2 weeks, and he's someone that both you and I looked up to. Maybe you should try and get to meet him and interview. I'm talking about Dr. Jai Sankar from India. Good night, gentlemen. Bye.
Thank you very much.
He's talking about a very charismatic, very, very, very formidable international player, the Indian foreign minister. You should see how that
He's coming to Guyana?
Yeah, you should see how that man deals with foreign journalists.
Right.
He's the man that says, Ukraine is a European problem. Why is it a world problem? When we have our problem, it's not a European problem. But suddenly your problem become our problem.
But Freddie, coming back to this thing with the oil, right? I would want to put in, I think I'm going to address
Take that call. Okay.
Let's go to our callers. Caller, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Would you mind taking me off the ear and just listen something? I want to give a complaint about.
No. Could you call us afterwards? This is for people to hear.
Take my cell number, 614-5927. After 10 o'clock, you have to call me because I'm going to be in the studio until 10. When it's calling, we go until 10.
Yes.
But there's no way we can ping the phone and for us to hear you. We don't have that kind of system here. So
yes.
Thank you.
231-2982, 231-2982, or you could WhatsApp call us on 637-1071. We're talking about oil. And we're talking about the criticisms.
By the time I bought something here that viewers should, if there's any call, we have to take it. But is there something there? I wanted to read something to the viewers.
Go ahead, quickly, Freddie.
So Ron Sanders is the Antiguan ambassador to the United States. And this is what he wrote. And this is revealing. I will now read what he wrote. The 14 nation states of CARICOM have been at the bottom of U.S. official development assistance for decades. In 2019, total U.S. foreign assistance globally was $47 billion. The sum allocated for 9 countries in CARICOM did not amount to even $1 million US. Do you see how important the oil industry is to us?
I'm going to come back to that. Freddie Kissoon, now I want to ask
9 countries didn't get even $1 million in aid. And when those small countries in CARICOM, when they asked the Chinese to build a market, anyway.
Good evening, caller. Yes, go right ahead. You'd have to raise the volume or put your mouth closer to the phone, sir.
Gildarie.
Yes.
I listen. A long time I called you back concerning Mr. Gildarie.
Elton Dari, the boxer.
Yeah, you know, it hurt my heart to see that what happened is back when them they get the price, they took back and you get things from the government, and this man doesn't get nothing.
What is he looking for?
What I'm saying, that boxer won the war, that's in Guyana.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, but you never get nothing from the government.
Not a land, nothing or anything, because I happen to know when we had boxes and so
Yeah,
they were
I
on
just
it.
saying, Gildarie get nothing.
I still
You
can't.
never get something, but you're supposed to get something from the government. You're supposed to get something from them. After putting the within the other boxers who want to work like the government, give them something.
There was a time, and let me tell you, this is not in defense of this government or any other government. There was a time when money was very little and there was barely enough to even pay our debts. Now that they have it, this program is not to criticize or bash anybody, but if over time we turn in a blind eye and we're not addressing these issues, we have money now. It's about time that we fix these problems.
But I think in fairness to President Irfan Ali, I think Ali sense what his legacy is. He sense what he should do for a president. And I think he is doing it. I believe Ali didn't know about Terry Gajraj. I believe Ali didn't know about Mahathir Shivraj. Look, the president of Guyana is a very problematic country. Guyana has enormous problems, and now Guyana's problem have been added. The oil industry has catapulted into the world. We have problems with importation of stone, loom. So I can sincerely see a president missing a lot of things, but he did call Gajraj. And I think he will call Mahathir Shivraj. And if these things like the boxer and those things are known to him, I think he will reach out.
Look, and let me tell it to you. A personal experience happened to me recently. I don't want to talk about it in terms of who it involved, but a senior government official, Hello?
Okay, right.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah. Freddie Kissoon, somebody reached out to the president of Guyana. I think let me talk about it. And the president personally picked up the phone. This is not anybody that was really of significance. That person
I know the issue.
Yeah, that person.
That's the man.
Right.
What he is.
That person. The president picked up the phone, and this is something I was flabbergasted. This man is so busy all over the country. He picked up the phone to find out what happened to that young man. That young man is not a billionaire. He's not a businessman. Something he said, I need the president to reach out to. He reached out to a former government official, and that former government official went to the president.
If he knows about these things,
I personally can't.
I think if he know, I think that man is shaping a legacy.
He has to, because it's big.
You know what? He has so many. He has so many examples to fall back on. There was Burnham, there was Jagan, there was Hoyt, there was Jagdeo, there was Mrs. Jagan, and I think he comes from a very, very strong political family. I know his uncle, the president's uncle and I were personal friends.
Very good night.
Yes, go right ahead, sir.
Freddie is a soup drinker.
You want to explain that?
Do we entertain those things?
No. He says that you used to drink. You want to explain that?
He's gone out?
All right. Let me address it right away.
No, man. No. We got to, no. A guy call and say, Freddie, you're a fool. Freddie, you're a donkey.
All right.
Gildarie, you just go on. Yeah.
It's a beautiful country. Democracy is at work.
Don't dignify. Don't make those people into anything. Those people probably got their own problems. On these call-in show, people with problems with call-in. These things come with the territory. But I think if people reach out to him, one of the things, if I see him, that I want to talk to him about is Rohan Kanai. If you have a street named after Lance Gibbs, a street named after Clive Lloyd, a street named after Shivnam and Chandrapal, no, Kanai did too much for this nation.
Absolutely.
Kanai did too much for this nation, and I would like to talk to him about Rohan Kanai. I still believe he is the best.
Good evening, Carlo.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Gildarie and Mr. Kissoon. I have an issue that I want. I know, Leonard, you're going to be more interested in this because you know about farmers. So the minister make an announcement, or he said it on social media, that farmers who are people, overseas-based Guyanese who own lease land, cannot rent their land to other farmers because they're charging too much per acre for rent. If I have lease land, which was given to me because I deserve it, or whatever the case may be, how can the minister determine me not to rent my land for an amount? That's one. Now, if a farmer decides to pay me an amount of money for my land, isn't that the farmer's choice that he want to pay? Now, what happens to some of these farmers? They pay the price for the land, for the rent, because they want the land to plant, and then they go and complain to the government that, overseas people renting land to the farmers at an amount that whenever when they're done, they can't make money. How can you pay rent for a land and you know you're not going to make money? Why you renting a land for an amount that you know you can't make money? I think that's a wrong decision the minister is going to make, to take back lands from farmers who parents, grandparents, great-grandparents own it.
Right. All right. I'm very familiar with this issue. Here, and I'm going to answer it this way. There was a school of thought, and I think this was brought up by Gobind Harbhajan and some other people up in Berbice, that if you're given state lands, I cannot take lands as given to me for forestry, for forest and logging, and decide to do gold mining. It's two different uses. When the lands in Blackbush Pole and along Berbice were given out, they were given for the farmers to develop it. A lot of people migrated it, and what you had happen, they formed co-ops, and so what you had happen is that people started to take lands, and because they're overseas, pay no taxes, collect all the money. I happen to know that it's an ongoing something. So that's one issue. So the government is saying that you cannot be living overseas, take lands that is given to you to farm, and then you rent it out to other people, collect the money here, and then take it overseas. But what the government is saying, what you're saying that the government says, is that, look, you take the money from the people, and you're charging too much. It's two different issues, but I happen to be familiar with the first issue, which is you're not supposed to be renting the land in the first place. Why are you renting the land when you're supposed to be the one doing the farming? Unless you're living here and you don't have the combine and you give it to somebody else. But I would be interested to hear from the minister what exactly is this, or whoever made those statements, to hear exactly what is it that they're thinking. Because I have my own...
Because my concern is I've born in Guyana, living there for 50 years. My grandparents had land, planted it, handed over to my father, planted it. He eventually handed over to me all his leased land.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been developing the land from since then. And then, it's not fair now if we migrate it and still have the land. What should we do? Give somebody else the land? I mean, when we were entitled to it?
I agree, and I see what you're saying there. I agree. I agree with what you're saying there. That if you've spent money, resources to develop the place, and it's a very critical. This is a big issue up in Berbice, in the Region 5 area, and so on. Even a lot of people are overseas. But thank you very much for coming through. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
Hello, good evening.
Okay, so if you're coming through to us, 231-2982, or you could also 637-1071. You could WhatsApp call us on our cell phone there. If you're overseas, so it's WhatsApp 637-1071.
And we want to hear your views on the people who say Guyana should get out of oil production. It's bad for the climate. We'd like to hear your views on that. We'd like to hear what you think about other countries that are benefiting from fossil fuel industry.
Good evening, caller.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Is this Leonard?
Yes, it's a Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. Go right ahead.
Yeah, you guys talking about the Isle, right?
We're talking, yes. We want to talk about that.
Yeah, now the Isle, I'm living in Canada, but the Isle here in Canada, they don't give people money like crazy here. They're developing the country like the present government is doing.
Could you lower the volume? Lower the volume what you're listening to, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I've never seen a country with just get a bonus and a windfall, and you see like immediate a lot of benefits where you have cash in hand to a lot of people. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. We have started production. When we started production was 20.
Apart from it takes time, look, I'm 28 years here in Canada, and I haven't received anything from Canada here. I'm working, I work towards a pension and all these kind of thing.
It doesn't happen overnight. We got to take that, but we also have to hold the government.
The government is in the right direction. All these people, they want money, and when the other government is there, they can't ask for money.
But there's another side to that, though, Freddie, and if you bear me out to this, if you win the bonus, right, you win the lottery. Do you take all that money and buy Lamborghinis and houses, and so you have to invest the money. You have to spend it in a very prudent manner. And we have literally won the lottery there. So I'm gonna think I would hate this government to take our money and just start giving it Wild West cash grant all over the place.
Okay, sir. Thanks for coming through. Let's take this call here. Oh.
Okay, thank you, Freddie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good evening, caller. Okay. And those are some very, I think I come back to that. Is the government being too cautious, Freddie Kissoon, or you believe that they are trying with, this is the first time that a government, maybe even in this region here, would have had such a lottery, and we call it a lottery. How do you spend the money? Where do you put the money? It has to be the issue with that.
Yeah, but the money has to be spent for developmental purposes. As I said before, Professor Clive Thomas had to be joking to say you give 5,000 American dollars every year. Anyway.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes, go right ahead.
First time caller, actually.
Sure.
Listening to some of your callers earlier, seems you guys need to do a little bit of education for the public with regards to oil and gas and cash grants and people expecting cash payouts and whatnot. We're all talking about Dubai, and I guess Kaicho News Publisher always compare Dubai. The thing with Dubai is Dubai's issue is if you live in Guyana, you want democracy. There's no democracy in Dubai. We have
No. We're talking about the oil.
Right? They make all the decisions, whatever it is. The issue in Dubai is we have the locals are getting money. They can't get the locals to go get it to find a job. They don't want to work. They're importing immigrants from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Asia, Philippines, whatever, to do the work without any hope of getting citizenship. I'm not going to say residency. You can be a resident, but you cannot become a citizen. So basically, the citizens are getting cash grants, but the work is being done by immigrants. So all the folks who were talking about, cash grants need to look at stuff like that. The other thing Freddie was talking about, this Vulcan lady, I live in Canada too. I don't even know who she is. She's a non-entity here. She maybe live in British Columbia. We have oil. Alberta is the largest province that produces oil in Canada. And I think, I'm not too sure, we have the dirtiest oil in the world. It's tar sands. So what they do is they mine the sand and then they have to steam it. Imagine the amount of water that they have to use to steam it to get the oil out from the sand. And where does the water go? Back into the rivers and the streams. So she is, I don't know, maybe opposition affiliated.
Got you. Thank you very much.
Stay on the line. There's nothing wrong with someone criticizing the oil industry. But in life it is basic that one must have a moral position when they take an attitude or have an attitude to different things in life. If you are going to say, as Dr. Vulcan, stop the oil industry, where is your moral position about how Guyanese are going to live if we can't sell our oil to have development in Guyana? Why should you tell us to stop oil in Guyana and you are teaching at the University of British Columbia? You should be teaching at the University of Guyana. You should be sharing Guyana with us. And then you say, as a Guyanese, I don't want oil production. It's bad for climate. But don't go in another country, live in another country, pay taxes in another country, educate that country's children, and you telling us how we must run Guyana. That is my problem with Dr. Vulcan. And it's a moral absurdity. I give the list of people who wrote a letter asking for the cessation of the oil industry, and look at the universities these people are teaching at, and look at how long they've been living in these countries. What moral right have they got to lecture us? Anyway, thanks for calling in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Good evening, caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Go right ahead.
Hello. Good evening. I'm calling. You guys doing a very good job. Keep up the good work you guys doing. You and Freddie. You have some people gonna call and say whatever they want. I'm calling concerning in enterprise on the east coast of Jamaica. My parents went there 2 weeks ago from overseas, and the thieves are on the street during the day every day.
All right.
I think we lost that.
Okay, let's see what this the local. No, I don't think there's anything coming in now.
All right.
We get local calls through this phone, so.
Look, I saw a video today of somebody complaining about the roads, and I think this government needs to up its PR game. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Yes, there's DPI and so on. Example for GPL. Freddie Kissoon, when GPL system aboard hits the wire or something, the entire Demerara and the Burby shuts off.
Well, let's see what
but hold on. No, let me make my point. Yeah. Freddie, it is important that this government start educating the people. GPL, you cannot fix the entire East Bank Road with all the potholes. Where do you put the money? GPL, it takes about $1 billion US or $3 billion US to fix the interconnection, to fix so many other things. And I think this government is doing a poor job, GPL is doing a poor job in educating the people to let them understand what are some of the constraints of the field on the ground. Because people would come up at the end of the day when they wake up in the morning, no power, is GPL getting cost, minister is getting cost, everybody's getting cost. But guess what? It's not an overnight fix, but we got to be patient about it. But the GPL people got to get their act together too. So this conversation need to be had, and they need to start telling the people what exactly are the conditions and the constraints that they're facing on the ground. And I think that's an issue. I don't understand what is the police they're doing, and tell people how do you fix crime when you got 5 gangs within a community and get 2 police officers? How do you go as the Ministry of Labor and you have 1 or 2 labor officers to patrol an entire Georgetown? How do you do that? Somebody need to say it, and we need to start fixing that. But does it happen overnight? 637-1071 or 231-2982. If you're in Guyana, you could call us on that, or let's hear from you. 637-1071. Sorry about that, Freddie. I get a little emotional.
No problem. Well,
do the people in Guyana, I want to ask you a question, Freddie. Do the people in Guyana, does anybody in Guyana have a right to criticize the industry? You raised it a little earlier.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. I enjoy your program because now we don't really get through. I get a complaint today what's wrong.
But before you do that, you need to lower your volume, whatever you're listening to.
Yes.
Good.
Hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yes. They contracted them to do some road around back. I would like the minister and Jill to look into the road are loosening. They are loosening up. We can they are there if you do it and put it on Facebook. I didn't see any response to anybody.
Okay, what the minister do that Indar has promised us, and in a month's time he will come back here, but he wouldn't be the guest as such. He will sit down and take your calls. So make sure you're around when he's doing that. He will sit down here for an hour and a half and take your calls.
Okay. Yes. And one more thing.
Yeah.
This music, when we see a lot of people up in killing big set, you can't even fit in the car, and police are not doing anything to these people. The nice nuisance. Imagine I had a problem with my neighbor the other day. My sister has cancer in her brain. She dying bed can't move. And my neighbor was playing music, and when I tell them to slow it down, it's them neighbor here back. So for 40 years we were so good. And a problem comes from them, they neighbor get a problem. If I go to the station, they send RC, and by cost of the RC. And the RC go and bring police. And when the police come back, I hear the police carry on by who play the music. And next, 15-20 minutes, I come back and start playing the music right through the whole night.
Everybody knows that. They come and they stop the music, and then 15 minutes after, everybody knows that's a joke.
I can tell you a story here, so they hang up there. Freddie Kissoon, in this country, sometimes they wonder if you living in a real world or we in some other world. The police force put out a statement today at the head of Massey Road, what you call Red Road in Providence here, where Amazonia Mall is. All the taxis are lined up there. They pick up, so they're private hire cars and so on. But there's some taxis that are working there that has the front of the windscreen is tinted, but you got to see the speed that they're in there, and that happens in Diamond as well, all over the place. The police went this morning, I think it's either this morning or yesterday, rounds up all of them and carried them into the police station, who are breaching the tint laws as private hire and working the thing. You know what people said? Well, why you pick up the people them? Why you didn't fix your windscreen that you have the darkest tint as well? But it is an issue that you have in the country. The police not setting the example. The people are breaking the laws, and when the police do the job, the people ask the police, "Why are you doing the job?" Are we living in a real world?
Anyway,
are we living in a real world?
I don't know.
Me no answer tonight.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening, Gildarie.
Gildarie and Freddie, go right ahead.
Yes. You remember the call asked for the minister number for labor. I called that man. I know you can tell me that you can't help me at NIS, but I did discuss with you.
The issue with NIS.
I'm a labor, I'm working, I'm a pension work now. I sign a sick leave for assemblies for 24,000 with the injection tablets and things and so on, Dr. Fee. 6 months gone, I called, when I asked him to give me a number, I told him that to give me a number, he said, you can help me. And I'm paying NIS and nobody here, let me tell you, what squash for $100, I thought, $100, you can't buy a squash. And then I raised this threshold for $80,000. Cannot minister, and he went with 2 terms, that $80,000 for threshold government for 1 month.
So you're saying right now, if I'm getting you correctly, that you have an unresolved issue with NIS?
Yes.
All right. Call me tomorrow. Listen to me. Call me tomorrow on 637-1071 about 10 o'clock, and let me link you up with somebody at NIS here. And let me put it to a test and see whether NIS is doing the job. I know.
Here. We call NIS from head office and we go to Regina here to find school here. They tell me, say the company want me to work with it, not pay NIS for me, so them can pay me now. And I'm paying NIS contribution 38.
What's the name of the company, sir? What's the name of the company? What's the name of the company?
N&M Trucking Service Security.
N&M Trucking Service
Security.
The NIS told you that company
is not paying
contributions for you?
Very well, Josh. Come on, when I been to the office of Regina about 3 weeks ago.
You know that's a criminal offense. You know that.
Yeah.
But call me tomorrow. Call me tomorrow, my brother. Yeah.
I even call the president office and George will write a letter or email.
Oh, the man read the
an email, and I'm going to go to this country. And then we hear Timmy Tucker talk about low life. Who is more low life than Timmy Tucker?
So don't use those kinds of words to describe people on this program. Yes, because we could get sued for that.
Right.
And we apologize to the gentleman.
Right. We got to be careful. They just shut us down.
Okay, thanks.
All right, call me tomorrow, 637-1071, and let me see if I can hook you up and see what could happen.
Yeah, good, thank you.
It's a criminal offense to take money from the people. Gaisuko used to do it. And now I see plenty security companies that do that. Y'all call us and let us know the security company names. And any other company taking the NIS and not remitting it to the NIS, so you're not getting the benefits. Let us know them. In fact, you could call us on the next. Hold on, Freddie Kissoon. I'm not finished yet, Freddie Kissoon. Let us tell the people and educate the people, Freddie Kissoon.
I hear you touch on the red.
Hold on, Chief. Hold on. Call us and let us know the people or the companies that are taking out the NIS, and let's name and shame them. It's about time. Some people can be protected in this country. They take the eyes and pass the people of Guyana. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. I hear you touch on the red road with the taxis and stuff like that. You got a mall, you got a grocery store, you got a restaurant, and all these things going on right to the front of that red road and the public road. And that place is a shanty town. I had some friends coming from foreign the other day, and we go there to have dinner, and the people want to know what kind of environment
You want me to tell you a story what happened a couple months last year? We had a 5-foot container torn into our property that I have my office there. And the people got stands right in front of us. And they have the vehicle parked. They refuse to move it and hold up the traffic for 20 minutes. Holding up traffic 20 minutes on Red Road, you know what that is? And when you tell the NDC says, we have to wait and see. We have to give them a little time to move. Nothing happens. But you got to pay your taxes, and those people are not paying taxes. But hold on. When you complain about it, you know what they tell you? But the people got to live. The people got to live.
We want $1 million a year. We want $1 million a year, and those I don't know, guys.
Squatting is good.
In Georgetown and around the city with all this kind of nonsense. It's a shanty town. The whole city is a shanty town.
Okay.
Right. Thank you very much for coming through.
You're welcome.
Freddie, I'm not in a good mood tonight. I hear some things, nonsensical thing. How could companies... discrimination is not the word I would use to describe it. How could companies take out money from people's salary and not remit it in keeping with the laws that the NIS? Good evening, caller. Go right ahead.
How are you, gentlemen, this evening?
Not so happy. Freddie is happy though.
Yeah, I can see that. What we want to talk about tonight is oil, right? I see that the major issue that people have been talking about is oil, and I am very concerned about these overseas-based Guyanese who live in oil-producing countries and are very critical of Guyana and its oil production. Now, we need to understand that the government of Guyana is going in the right direction when it comes to oil. They are creating better social services for us, the citizens. You need to have better infrastructure. You need to have more business opportunities, more investment, because oil is not going to be there forever. So you have to build an economy that will be sustainable. And then we have these so-called environmentalists who come about and say, you know what, we need to protect the environment, but who's going to care about our income, our livelihood, our domestic needs? We are Guyanese. We live here. We have our resource. We understand that the government is taking this resource and utilizing it in the best interest of the population. We understand that oil is there for development of Guyana. It is not there for any semi-literate man to be jumping up in a suit and saying, you know, the oil is bad and it's a bad investment and we need to get more money. Who in Guyana has the money to invest in oil? Who has the money to invest in oil? We have to depend on foreign investors to work this resource so that we can build Guyana. We can't listen to these critics. These critics have nothing to offer Guyana. They don't offer anything at the university, the colleges, the schools, anything. The government is building schools. They are creating educational opportunities. And that is the right way to go. No country in the world has ever been developed on handouts. Handouts is not the way to go. It will never be the way to go because nobody's going to steal from handouts. But people are going to be okay and comfortable if they have a roof over their head, if they have a genuine income, if they have better NIS. And one of the things I'd like to see as an oil-producing country, that we remove the 60-year age for NIS and bring it down to 55. Because lifespan in these parts is not very long. Gentlemen, I think we need to understand our critics. We need to understand that they have an agenda. And they are rubbing an agenda that is linked with political opposition. We can't fail this country, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you for coming through. Where do you put the money? I think that's a very good thing. Where do you put the money, Freddie?
I could understand his sentiments. I mean, how could you have... anyway, there's a car coming in.
Good evening, caller. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Leonard.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm calling about Quarantine Comprehensive High School.
Quarantine?
Comprehensive High School.
Oh, okay, good.
When it's raining, we come in rain season now. When it rains, from the gate going into the door, the entrance to the building, you cannot walk. The kids cannot walk in here. It's all flooded out. And I talked to one of the ministers. They were in their staff. They called me and said they was going to look into it, and nobody ever did it.
How long ago was this?
Pardon me?
How long ago you spoke to that staff?
It's about a month ago.
Could you send me the pictures and the same a little short write-up to 637-1071 as a WhatsApp?
Okay, I will do that.
Do that for me as always tomorrow with some of the problems.
The rainy season is coming back, May, June.
Right.
And I think the prediction is rain tomorrow.
Yes.
I can't understand how you could have a school or a hospital in which when it rains is flooded.
And the washroom, the toilet, they're on, I don't know, there's no running water, there's no seat in the toilet.
Well, I'm glad you brought that to our attention, And I'm glad thousands of viewers are looking for the fools and the comics that say we should get out of the oil industry. Those fools and comics that say that their children go to good schools in the developed world. I'm glad you brought up that point. That is what you do with our oil industry. We sell our oil, we take the money, and we develop a country that after more than 70 years really needs that money. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you. Good evening, caller.
Hello.
Hi, go right ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go right ahead. Could you take up the volume of whatever you're listening to?
So, tune down your volume.
All right.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut that up. You guys got to, whatever you're calling us, make sure your volume is out. Good evening, caller. Go right ahead.
Hi, good evening, guys. How are you guys doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Go ahead.
You have to tune down your volume. We're getting a feedback.
I'm on my phone, actually.
No, something is that you'll be hearing something in the background.
Look, we're hearing ourselves talking to you.
Okay, good. I just want to commend you guys. You're doing a wonderful job. And don't worry about those guys, the hearsays and the you say and they say. Both you, Freddie, and Gildarie, you guys are fantastic. And I hope that the little problems, you guys can take it up and get it solved. Problems like NIS and the school that is flooded, those are simple little things can be done, and it's not being done. How long would it take to fix a little height to a school step? If you know what I mean. NIS, you work all your life. You go to collect your NIS, there is a problem, and nobody's fixing it. We need to have these things fixed.
Well, I think the government needs a one-stop shop where you assemble these complaints, and these complaints are. I think there are certain prominent secretaries and ministers who probably don't know that a bridge leading to a school has fallen down, and you need some agency. It could be located in the office of the president, in which you assemble these complaints, and they used to do that.
I think most ministries got it as to how
used to do that.
There has to be a complaint, and I would say if I'm a citizen of Guyana and I got a problem and I can't get through nobody, I'm calling the secretary every single day.
Gildarie, I'm telling you, it's impossible for a person in Mahaika to get through to the Ministry of Housing.
I know. It is deep. I can't understand. And you see, look, the president would go on different things. I think he went across the river recently there, and the president would sit down for hours with his ministers. Minister Deodat told us that he was there under the tent, listening to the queries of those people. But hold on. What the minister said is very, very emphatic. The man says within a couple of hours we were able to deal with hundreds of complaints. Don't you believe that the majority of those complaints were NIS and housing and so that could have been dealt with at another place? But the president got to go and sit down in a place like that because a couple of people are not thinking. Let us go again. Good evening, caller.
Yes, but
good evening. How are you? Good night to the panel.
Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, go right ahead, caller.
Mr. Gildarie, I'm living at Woodley Park.
Woodley Park, yes.
Yes. And I have an issue. Mr. Indar was here. I raised my matter, and to no avail. I've been locked up. I have 2 grandchildren going to school, walking in the savannah. After 15 years, these people said that I'm trespassing, and they blocked me out of civilization. And out of that, I opened a seasoning factory, nipped it in the Botswana, Guyana. And to no avail, not one man from this government has come to my rescue.
But you're talking about a legal issue that has to do with land that is...
Right. Before months ago. That's not something we can solve.
Right. It's a legal issue that what you're saying there, and I think I remember this issue here.
Yeah.
That is in dispute. That is in dispute. How do you deal with that?
And to no avail, till now no cases has been called.
Right.
Put in for my property without an official gazette. The matter has been tried. All these things happen with me.
Okay.
If that happens, could you complain to the ombudsman?
No, that's a legal matter.
It's a legal
That's
matter.
a legal matter.
No, but he's saying that. All right. I don't know what to say there. You might have to seek the sons of a lawyer to see how we could go.
Take a lawyer and let put all your problems in the lawyer's lap.
Call me tomorrow, sir. Call me tomorrow.
Okay. Right.
Oh, man,
No, he came on the program before. That's I don't think he has a lawyer. I don't think he's taking a lawyer. He goes to this person complain, that person complain, and he needs to take a lawyer, and his lawyer will then file the necessary papers.
Yes. Good evening, caller.
Yes, Mr. Gildarie and Mr. Freddie. It's a very nice program you're doing. I congratulate you guys for that. Mr. Gildarie, I'm an NIS pensioner. And to tell you the truth, it is not working. The little bit that I'm getting, it is finishing within a week and a couple of days. Mr. Gildarie, this is not right and it's not fair for us in this country. Yes, I agree with the oil or whatsoever the government is dealing with and talking about infrastructure and different things. But are we going to live with infrastructure? We're going to die with hunger in this country. Look how everything gone up, cost of living gone up. And we cannot suffer in this country what the government is doing for us, man. Mr. Gildarie, this thing is getting me so crazy that I just feel like to go on the road.
No, don't go there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Calm down.
That's why you look at it to see how the thieving going on in this country here. So because you know why? Because people ain't getting to eat. I know seen it. I am grieving for this. I walk my life out in this country here. So and now to get in my NIS money and the little money that you're getting, it can't do, Mr. Gildarie. We're really going on. The government sit down and then doing nothing for us, man. Come on. You know? It's not right. We just 700 or something thousand people in this. Now we got to be suffering, and then you're telling me, but you're telling me, but so much of money, this oil going out there, and them kind of thing. I tell you, now where we going? We ending up in the grave. We can go to the grave, but we can get nothing out there. Then raise the NIS money and do something for us, Mr. Gildarie, please. I'm appealing. Mr. Freddie, listen to me carefully. You understand?
I hear your pain. Thank you very much for coming through. And I want to take before you come, Freddie, I want to take the opportunity here to appeal to everybody, especially to those who are self-employed. Please, for heaven's sake, make sure that you guys pay your NIS, because if anything, God forbids, anything happened to you and you can't work anymore, and because you believe that paying NIS is taking a chunk of the money out of your pocket, pay NIS, because you're not gonna regret it. I have cousins who are extremely rich and they're involved in business, and he says, I'm making sure that I make use of my NIS. For every least thing that I go to the hospital, I make a claim on NIS. How many of you could say the same that are involved who are self-employed? Please, for heaven's sake, do it. I'm gonna have to invite NIS people here. Good evening, caller. I think we missed the one. We see this one here. Good evening, caller.
Good night, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I called you just to remind you, right? Right. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. I have 4 liars to my case. Mr. Gosai's son, Mr. Dorisami, here, and Mr. Patas. And these men are playing politics with a guy from my village.
Don't do that.
Is the same guy again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, no, you can't criticize, especially look. So you don't want to get
don't fight this case.
Anyway, Thanks for coming through. Thanks for coming. Let's
Here what to do. Call me tomorrow.
I want to get to Mr. Gildarie, and I'm going to explain to him my story. I have all the documents.
Oh, okay then.
Call me tomorrow. Call me tomorrow about 11 o'clock. Not later than 11. And let's have a chat about it. Maybe we could put it to rest. Thank you.
And if he has
Yeah,
full
go right ahead, caller. Good evening. Hello? Hello? Well, I think my apologies. Freddie, we got about 5 minutes, so thereabouts.
No.
You take some more calls. 231-2982, 637-1071.
Time flies in the world.
I wish that we could go another hour here, but that's going to kill us. I think by the time then I'm going to be in a very depressed mode. Listen to some of these. I mean, people, you could hear the pain in that gentleman's voice there.
Well, that gentleman that came through and said, help us.
Good evening, caller. Hello?
I am Gildarie.
Yes.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
I want to speak direct to Freddie.
Yes, but lower the volume of what you're listening to, please.
Yeah, Freddie.
What's that?
That caller I listened to before, he said you are a soup drinker.
No, don't listen.
We don't waste time with that.
No, don't waste time with that. Listen.
That's an idiot.
I think that caller is in the letter P, is a P drinker.
Listen, Saul.
Let me move on.
Let's. I'm in the public. I'm in the public eye for the past 55 years. Those things, you gotta expect those things.
Yeah.
You want to make a comment on anything?
Yes, I want to make a comment. If something wrong in your community, something go wrong, you see something go wrong in the community, and you're talking to somebody who is responsible for that department, and you don't have any hearings, and the president is coming in that community, did you think you should take it up to the president?
The president is a representative. You have the right to do that.
Because I called a couple, 2 months ago, and I was criticized for that.
You have the right as a citizen in this country to raise matters with your representatives. The president happened to be a representative as well.
That's what happened. And when I called Gildarie, you said, why you have to wait for the president to come and talk that? Tell him that. You tell me that.
I'm saying to you, if I hear you correctly, you said if the president come in the community, whether you have the right to raise an issue with him. I'm saying that you have the right.
Yes, but a couple months ago, 3 months ago, I called and I say what happened to the roads. And I'm waiting for the president. I cannot speak to the president. He was in the committee, but I cannot speak to him. And then
You have no other forum. You can't call the ministry or anybody, or you can't complain to the NDC.
I talked to everybody who I could, and they just patch it because they hear the president come. They patch it up.
Do you have anybody who could write letters? Because you write a letter to the president, he responds to everything his secretary does, and they pass that to his attention.
But he was coming. There was a house he made for, a man on mission house.
Yes.
He was coming there. So I was planning to talk to him about what happened. You don't do cut and cover. You make $1 million road, and then you travel a big machine on it, you break it up, and then you try to pour some cement on it, plaster it, and, because the president is coming. So I was trying to tell the president what was happening.
I got what you're saying, and you didn't get that chance.
Yeah, I didn't have the chance. And one more thing, regarding to the NIS. I got my mother working for years, maybe 15 years in Gaisuku. I called the NIS, and they told me that my mother are gonna get paid off. You don't check whatever contribution, whatever, is she gonna get paid off? Anyway, I was in Guyana 3 weeks ago. A friend of mine who got NIS, they told him the same. He live in Guyana. They told him the same thing, and the guy.
If you don't meet the number of contributions, They're gonna make a one-off payment to you.
Please listen what I'm saying. The guy
Yeah, you
told
gotta
me
be quick. Operator say our time is up.
that he gonna get paid off, and he just tell the guy that in NIS, I'm gonna give you $100,000, and the guy getting monthly NIS.
And you're saying that openly in this program?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That was what I was told.
So what you're saying there that if you don't reach the contribution, you could pay somebody in NIS and they make it right? Is that what you're saying to me, sir?
No. We can't make that accusation.
No, you can make that accusation.
Somebody.
He is saying that this is what the man is saying. He could make that accusation
against the NIS. Well, we
thank you very much for coming through, sir. We out of time.
NIS have something to do with this.
I got you. Thank you very much. We out of time. Thank you.
Our operator signal.
Freddie Kissoon.
Anyway.
Are we serious?
I find that there must be a paper trail for that. Anyway, this is the first time I've heard that. I've heard so many complaints about NIS, but that one of inside people.
No, but hold on. You're supposed to make a contribution. It goes into the system. So what you're saying, 10 years from now, you're ready to retire, and you go in and you think, and they say, well, you're short of 5, and somebody can make it right for you, or you're short of 20.
I've never heard about that one.
Give me 100,000.
I've never heard about that one. Have you heard about that before? Anyway, our operator signal, we've gone beyond time. This has been the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. Our program this evening was call-in program, and we wanted to have your views on the oil industry. Those people who say oil, the fossil fuel industry is bad for climate, poor Guyana must stop it. It's beyond imagination that anybody could make such an asinine attitude. But our time has come, our operators have to go. We have a very interesting guest on Monday, and don't forget, one of our mottos on this show is to highlight people who have made contributions to Guyana, but they're not famous. We give them, we like to bring their world to your world. It has been an enjoyable program, some disturbing comments that make you feel that, people really needs to be helped. I will close off here, and on behalf of Leonard Gildarie, have a pleasant weekend. We'll see you Monday. Take care. As they say in Italy, arrivederci. In Japan, sayonara. In Germany, auf Wiedersehen. What we say in the West Indies, we'll catch you later, man. See you later.
I like that.